je ne sais quoi, that effortless essence, that effortless charm, that unique, that thing that so many French women embody, that vibe that you just can't put your finger on. It can't be taught, it can't be bought, and it can't be learned. However, what I learned from a bunch of French women while I was over in Paris is that you can figure out your own set of rules and your own way that you show up in the world that is unique and solely you. So when I was in France, I got to hang out with a bunch of French women who I had never met before. I had met them through friends. I had met them from just being there. And one of them was actually my facialist, and she turned out to be Naomi Campbell's facialist. And she sat down with me and did this whole interview on intuition and showing up for yourself and growth and change. And I did a whole podcast on that if you want to listen to it. Her name is Vanita Savant. And if you're in Paris, definitely go get a facial from this woman. It is an experience. But anyway, let's keep it moving. So the je ne sais quoi. You've heard about it, you've read about it, maybe you've Googled it. It's a thing, it's a vibe, it's a way that you move through a room. And honestly, it is uniquely individual to every French woman that I had encountered while I was there. It's about intuition, it's about tending to yourself, it's about self-care, it's about mind, body, spirit. It's so many things. It's tending to your emotional, it's tending to your mental health, it's eating well, it's also eating what you want and indulging when you want and not limiting yourself. It's also, according to them, sticking to your values, your beliefs, and the things that make sense to you that might not make sense to everybody else around you. These women explained to me that they listen to their inner voice and their intuition above anything else. That's what they trust, that's what they rely on, and they always go with their gut. If it doesn't make them happy, they're not doing it. And again, we got to do things that don't make us happy every now and then. We have to, make sacrifices, but they really say to themselves, is this what I want? Does this align with who I am? Am I doing this to appease other people? Am I doing this to make other people happy? Or am I doing this to live up to other people's expectations? They're not putting on a mask. They're not acting how they think other people want them to arrive. They're arriving how they want to arrive. They're wearing what they want to wear. It's about personal style. It's about skincare routines. It's about eating habits. It's about spending as much time alone as they do with other people in community and connection and in going out and celebrating life. So after hanging out with these women, some of the things that I have decided to start really kind of using as a guideline for my life are some of the following. 1, getting to know myself. I spend time alone. I now take myself on dates. I go on vacations alone. And I really spend time journaling and meditating and thinking about what I want versus what may be good for other people in my life or how other people expect me to show up in my life. Hard one for me is not comparing myself to anybody else. Basically, keeping my eyes on my own paper. It is so hard, especially with things like social media and Instagram and all of these ways that we compare ourselves and look at other people and see what's going on in their lives. But I really try to keep my eyes on my own paper, keep my head down and focus on my own work because I know that things will happen in my timeline and they will happen as they're supposed to happen and unfold for me. And that I have to savor it, I have to be present, and I can't rush. Not being thirsty, not overdoing it, not trying to be liked, and not doing things that I think will appease people and doing it just for the sake of making them happy, because it's not gonna get me anywhere. And you also look kind of desperate. Spending time alone, detaching and sitting in silence. That means turning my phone off, taking a weekend for myself, going for walks by myself, again, taking myself out on dates, and just realizing that I don't have to be buzzing and having activity and having my social calendar filled at all times. It is okay to sit home, watch a movie alone, and being comfortable in the silence. Pushing myself out of my comfort zone. Just making myself uncomfortable, going and trying new things, going out alone, going to parties alone, showing up without someone, taking new classes, trying new skills, trying to expand my horizons, learning about things that aren't so easy and don't come so naturally to me, and really trying to stick to it and finishing out things that I start until the end, whether it's as great as I think it's going to be or it's not as well executed as I had hoped. I still try to stick to it and I try things that are new. Moving in silence. Oh my God. These women just do. They don't tell people their plans. They didn't tell people all the things that they hope to achieve and how they were going to do it and talk about it. One of the things that they kept saying to me was that anytime you have something that you want to do, people will talk you out of it before they talk you into it. And that I have found to be so true. So moving in silence, not telling everybody what's up, and just kind of doing and then being like, yeah, I went on that trip alone. Oh, I didn't tell you? Because you probably would have told me not to go. Or yeah, I bought this. Or yeah, I'm going back to school. Or I decided to start an entire new website and close out my old one and call it donnaguerreros.com. And I didn't tell anybody except I popped up with this new website completely done because I figured that would be the best way to do it for me. constantly developing new skills. And this kind of goes hand in hand with like getting yourself out of your comfort zone, but it's a little extra because you're trying to keep yourself relevant. And that could be anything from new skills on how to do your hair to how to paint your nails. And maybe you've never given yourself a manicure before, to how to learn how to code or make a website, or maybe learn a new language, or learn something new that relates to your current career, or maybe something that will build upon your career or change careers entirely. So just constantly developing new skills and, constantly growing and keeping yourself moving forward. That kind of goes into the next one, realizing that growth never stops. I was always kind of looking for this end checkpoint to be like, boom, I'm done. I grew. I'm here. I healed. I finished it. I fixed it all. And it's like, you don't, because it's like whack-a-mole. You get one down and then something else pops up, or you cut one flower and then another one grows. And growth is endless and it's nonstop. And like I said in another video, somebody said to me one time, if you're not growing, you're dead. So it's like, don't look for the stop point with growth. We grow, we kind of chill for a little bit, and then you got to do a little more growth. You got to do a little bit more healing. And sometimes you got to switch stuff up. I didn't curse YouTube. Don't cancel me. And I need to be unique, and I need to be different, and I need to embrace that I am unique and I am different. And I have to realize that growth never stops. And I need to surround myself with people who stimulate me, not stagnate me or drain me. And ultimately, self-care, self-discipline, self-confidence, self-love, and self-actualization are the things that are so important to me, and the things that will be my focus before anything else. Do things that excite you and bring you joy. Again,
don't be around those energy vampires.
Be around people who light you up, who make you feel good, who ignite you, and do things that make you feel good. If you don't want to go to that XYZ anymore and it's making you feel terrible, don't do it. But again, just don't go and quit your job because you're having a bad day. Get a plan in place and figure out how you're not going to do that anymore. But if you got a friend who really is just a Debbie Downer, and every time you hang out with her, she takes all the gas out of the room, it's yeah, if you're having a bad time every time you're with them, that's kind of on you after a while, because you keep going and hanging out with them, or you're not addressing it and saying, hey, every time you kind of talk about all this XYZ or your ex or whatever, you're kind of killing the vibes. And we're here for you, but we don't want to hear about it at so-and-so's 40th birthday, Being comfortable with uncomfortable silence. Again, when you tell your friend that they might be a Debbie Downer, probably might be a little quiet on, or opposite. They may kind of lose it on you. But you have to be comfortable with that uncomfortable silence. It's not your job to always fill up the room with laughter. It's not your job to always make the conversation. It's not your job and your responsibility to always be the life of the party. So you have to be comfortable with uncomfortable silence. These women explain to me that your personality needs to be as unique as your outfit. And you're not always going to follow the trends. You're going to show up how you want to show up. And even in developing your personal style, don't go with the trends. Go with being timeless. Don't make your whole identity the latest trends. Cultivate your own personal style. Cultivate your own personal essence. Don't just buy things because they're trending on TikTok. Figure out what you want. Create a wardrobe. Create your own type of collection when it comes to perfume and makeup and your look, and switch it up and change it. Or maybe don't. Again, it's your thing that you're cultivating, and it's all up to you. Figure out what works for you, figure out what might not be working for you anymore, and continue to, just embody what you want to embody when it comes to your own personal and unique style and how you show up in the world. And ask yourself, is the way that I am dressing and is the way that I'm expressing myself kind of embodying how I'm feeling on the inside? And am I really putting my personality out there in how I dress? And if that's something you don't want to do, you don't have to do it. If it's something you want to do, maybe you got to work on it. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. You got to have them. You need them. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Don't let other people define you. I don't think I really need to go into this too much. You should know what that means, but if you don't, then same thing with boundaries, look it up. These women explain to me that your personality needs to be as unique as your outfit. And it's not going to be about following the trends. Sometimes you're not going to make people happy, just like you're not always going to wear what's in season. You want to be timeless. You want to find balance, and you want to enjoy the process. You don't want to rush things. You want to savor it, just like they savor a meal and they don't rush through a meal. How many times do you sit at your desk and eat a salad really quickly? That would never happen. French enjoy it. They take their time, and they're ultimately so present in the moment. After spending time with these women, I added quality over quantity to my list. What's the point of having a closet full of clothes that I never wear just because of the fact that I bought it and it was on sale, or because it was trendy, if I don't feel good in it and it doesn't make me feel my best? Because if I don't feel my best in it when I look in the mirror, am I really going to feel great when I go out to that party, or I go to that interview, or I'm just out and about in the streets of New York City? The answer to that is probably no. So I'm better off investing in 2 or 3 pieces that make me feel really, really good when I put them on than having all this stuff in excess. I also wanted to fuel my body, my mind, and soul with all of the things that would nourish it. That's people, places, experience, food. And I have to understand that sometimes I'm going to need to, go a little bit harder with my body, a little bit harder with my mind. Maybe my mental health needs a little bit more attention, and, maybe my soul and spirit and community and joy and fun. Or maybe I just need to address these things equally across the board so one doesn't lack. But I also have to understand that, I may fall off in certain areas, and giving myself the compassion for that is something that I need to do. And I have to release the guilt and the shame of putting myself first. And I need to be doing things like vision boarding more because it makes me happy. And I need to be journaling. And that's why I created a journal and I made one, because I was like, hey, this worked for me. Maybe it could help other people. And I want to find more joy in the regular routines of life. I want to be intentional. I want to be present. And I want to meditate regularly and have a gratitude practice and be grateful for the small things as well as the big wins in life. And even for the things that don't go my way, because what necessarily isn't good for my ego might be better for my soul. Shout out to my friend Sanam, who sent me that message today.
Great thing about je ne sais quoi is that you can come up with your own. It's individual, it's unique, it's your own vibe. So why don't you make your own guidelines, your own kind of manifesto, your own way of moving through life, your own rule.
It's not something that can be bought. It's not something that can be learned. It's just something that needs to be done. And at the end of the day, it's about finding joy and balance and excitement in the everyday, in the most regular routines, in the mundane, in the things like from brushing your teeth to sitting down and having a meal. It's meant to be savored, and you're meant to be present, and you're meant to just be happy you're living life, and that it's your life, and that you've put your own mark on it, and you've put your own unique signature on it.